Obrigado. That's the only word I know.
Yeah, you got it right. As a male, obrigado.
So this guy, he's made some thumbnails and he believes in what we're doing here, which is cool. And you can see he's got a lot of these thumbnails, and the examples of these thumbnails, pretty cool, mainly for YouTube. And there's all these different tools that will create these cool thumbnails. Obviously, thumbnail, just like a title for an article, is very important. Of course, the content has to be good, but the thumbnail isn't any good, and just like the title isn't any good, then what's the point? Okay. So he is trying to sell me a $200 package of 10 thumbnails. I'm like, all right. I'm sure you can create great thumbnails, but let's see if you understand what our mission's all about. Right. And so he created, where's the one? I hate too many things open. Let's see which one it is I had open. Can I close it? Two tabs that are open here. Close these. We don't have any high-powered links. We got to get you some high-powered links. This article will become a high-powered link. I'll put a boomerang for them to come back on it in a week. So if it doesn't, if the team doesn't reply, then it'll come back to my inbox in a week.
Oh,
that's how I never lose track of anything.
Can you hear me right now?
Use this here. Hey.
Yeah.
Can I hear? See, I can hear you, I guess.
I can hear you. I can hear, but you cannot hear me, I guess.
I can hear you. Can't see you.
Oh, okay. I'll just turn on my camera 1 second.
Yevhenii? How do you say it?
I don't know. Yevhenii, how do we say your name?
Yeah, Yevhenii. You can say it just like Yevhenii. Yevhenii.
Okay. Very cool. I'm here with my buddy Angus Nelson. We're in Lisbon.
See.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And we think you're an awesome thumbnail designer.
Yeah, I really appreciate the support. Thanks.
So as I was telling you before, we are building a two-sided network, just like Uber is a two-sided network with drivers and riders, right? And in this case, we have a lot of local businesses, and you've seen these videos where these businesses they're basically coming into our emergency room because they need help, right? They've been burned by all these agencies. So they all come to us, and we make the recommendations because we have the tools to figure out what's wrong, like taking the MRI and the blood work. So we're not selling, right? We're recommending. So you can imagine from a thumbnail perspective, how might we do that? Well, patients that are coming in, and then in the x-ray, we can see like where the broken bone is, right? And that's what's wrong. Each of these people are coming in, we're diagnosing and providing a treatment plan. And then from there, young adults, which you can think of in the medical analogy, are like nurses and surgeons and specialists. Some people focus on the brain or the arm or the heart or whatever. They're trained to fix the problem. So if Angus were to come in and let's say, he has a broken clavicle because he did a backflip while he was skiing, or, played basketball or, whatever it was, then, we would give him the treatment that is correct for his condition, right? And if I come in because I'm overweight and my calcium's low, then maybe my prescription is Ozempic and, baldness treatments, whatever it might be, right? And so young adults come through the certification and they can see that we have hundreds of other young adults that have been going through our training to be certified, just like if you wanted to be a doctor or an anesthesiologist or, a skincare specialist or all this kind of stuff. So we have so many of these stories. And if we go to not just YouTube, I know your things like the YouTube thumbnails, right?
Yeah.
But if you see, there's so many stories that are not just, on our channel, but other people are talking about this, right? And they're talking about the different techniques that we have and $1 a day and training of people in Pakistan. And Angus and I have a lot of friends that go to this conference, Social Media Marketing World, right? So all the social media people are talking about what we're doing. And there's a lot of this, right? and it could be from the angle of like, this person is all about entrepreneurs and processes, and each of these people are talking about it in their particular way, right? Or there's major media, like me and Mark Zuckerberg arguing, right? Crushed him. Or this was this social media? No, this is the Marketo Summit. But you can see there's lots there. This is with the guy who founded onlinejobs.ph. So the angle is the Filipinos, right? So we have a lot of Filipinos, but this guy's a Pakistani guy and he does Google ads. And so there, this guy's an affiliate guy and he's in Dubai, right? And so all of these people are coming in different ways. And we have, as I was showing Angus, all these relationships with all these different people. And we've never put thumbnails on any of the videos. So I know you can make a beautiful thumbnail. But what I was trying to say yesterday in the last few days is, what do you think about, a powerful thumbnail is not just, something visually striking that gets people to click, but commands, it ties into the real heart of what we're doing.
So basically, you just want to speak me about the thumbnails. How should it look like? So to be successful, what you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of the ideas, right? What's the theme? How do we visually demonstrate? I have like 10 ideas, but you're the expert at this, right?
No, you should actually, first of all, you should analyze the video, because the video is the main part of the thumbnail. So you just cannot create the thumbnail without analyzing the video. So you should analyze the video. What is it about? Maybe you have some preferences on what should you highlight in your video, for example, the main things, the main points. We highlight everything, and then based on those highlightings, we just make some thumbnails. Yeah. So basically, as for the thumbnail designer, I would say that it's important to also know what video is about, because if I don't know what video about, it's just impossible for me to create the thumbnail. But many thumbnail designers, they actually don't have this vision. They're just doing thumbnails because
then it's just decoration.
They're just doing simple thumbnails. They don't. Yeah, you can say.
Yeah. All right. So let me show you. Let me show you what's actually meaningful. Because what's more important than views and likes and whatnot is actually, driving sales, because we create an impact, right? Real impact. So if we come to my Facebook, this is a post I think I showed you 2 days ago, right? Maybe it's hard for you to see. But this dentist came to me because he got burned by this other agency, put $100,000, and then we recorded the whole Zoom call, right? And this has happened hundreds of times, okay? My whole career has been based on these people where they get burned and they come to me, right? I didn't go sell them. I had no DM, no salespeople. They all come to me, right? And you can see that a lot of people really care about this, right? And because they're like, well, people come in, they say, well, I'm a landscaper. Can you help me? I'm a real estate agent. I'm a cosmetic surgeon, all these roofers, right? I mean, your dad is probably one of these local businesses, right? Lots and lots of local businesses. And I can imagine, like, from a thumbnail perspective, like to get people's attention, there could be like this shocking face of, this guy, Dr. Flax, thinking like, the numbers are going down, or like, you can see like here.
I actually believe that we can attract a lot of different people from all over the world by our thumbnails, because many people, they are searching up something on YouTube. They're trying to search for some information, how to remove some darkness in their life. So I guess thumbnail is a very powerful tool for you to bring new people, to interact with your new people. So we can bring much more people who will be, for example, in need of your support, in need of your help. So I guess, we can do that.
So you see this guy, this is Dr. Flax. This is the guy I was talking about. I had lunch with him yesterday, right?
Okay.
And I have a lot of pictures and videos with these guys, because when we're able to save their business from the bad things that have happened, they become very grateful, right? So, I mean, I guess there's the obvious shock of, because these businesses are coming to us because they hear stories of, so that, because that's a dentist. All these other dentists then come to us, right? Because of what we've done for the #1 guy in garage door. All the garage door people come to us. The #1 plumber in America. We've made a lot of videos together. All these other plumbers come to us. So I feel like we could take the top 5 or 6 of these in each industry. Like, we have a big roofing company, right? And because we've demonstrated what we've done for the big roofing company, all these other roofing companies say, well, I have a roofing company in this other city. Can you help me? And my buddy who runs Red Rhino Roof, or the other roofing guy in Atlanta, or these other roofing, Roof Simple, the other roofing companies, they don't have a problem because these other roofers are in some other city. And these dentists, they don't care because these other dentists we're helping are in another city. So it's not like it's the same thing.
Right.
The same way, like for Angus, he's doing a lot of coaching for the Christian values, men's leadership, right? So he has people like Michael Stelzner as a client. By elevating Michael Stelzner, it brings other leaders who also have, the similar issue of, delegating out and burning out and, this kind of thing. So I feel like a thumbnail, like if we created thumbnails around each of these entrepreneur stories, it'd be very, very relevant, because then we can run ads to that. And not just on YouTube,
Yes,
we can run ads everywhere, right? So I was saying the two sides. So one side is all the local service business owners, right?
Okay.
Other side is we have lots and lots of young adults. And most of them, they don't want to go to college because of all kinds of reasons, right? And if I look at, let's see, own your own marketing. Okay, so one of my favorites is my buddy Marco, and we've created this whole thing on how do you audit these local agencies, right? Now he's grown his agency to almost $3 million a year, serving just concrete coating companies. And he's grown and grown and grown through referrals because he knows how to run the ads for concrete coating companies. But we have this Marco guy. We have many Marcos in other industries, right? So I mentor a lot of these folks, and we go through the same process. Remember, this is so you saw the other post I made for the dentists. Hey, here's what happened with the dentist. Here's these things that we found that were wrong because their agency was holding them hostage and they weren't maintaining the accounts and they were just wasting money, charging for lots of hidden fees and things that, anyways, really bad, right? And we say, this is how you audit to see what's going on. And then of course, they're going to want to talk to the Marco to come in and fix it. Because once we audit it and find all the things that are broken, because these young adults are learning how to fix these things, right? So it's not, these young adults are not learning how to sell. They're learning how to actually implement, to measure how many more phone calls we're getting, what's our cost per call, how much business there is tied to the CRM, this kind of thing, right? So that's the other side, is featuring the young adults. So we want to highlight, to teach the businesses, here's exactly how to do it, and then train up the young adults to actually fix it. So we have the both sides of the Uber network, right? So we have many, many stories of people just like this.
Okay. So I can understand your needs. Actually, you told me, I guess, everything about your needs, and I guess that I'm just doing this thing for 2 years already, and I think that if you are talking about these stories, all these videos, bunch of different videos, I think we can make it happen. And actually, if you do the right job, if you do the if you do some good results, if you reach some good results, we can actually bring you new people that will be interested in you, in your service. And I guess
that's what you would say to anybody who needs thumbnails. But what about, can you say something specific to what I just explained?
Something specific. So
something to reflect an understanding of what I just shared with you on what's our distinction. And as opposed to, let's make great thumbnails that resonate with, which is what you would say to anybody, right?
Right.
Show me something that gives me a level of comfort, instead of just like a sales pitch, like, oh, I do great work and thumbnails are important to reach people. Like, I agree. But you'd say that to anybody. Say something specific to what I just told you.
Yes,
Get out of your salesperson mode. Get into your thinking mode.
Okay. So what can I say about your distinction? If you
go beyond being a thumbnail designer, right? Start with the class. Meet me where I am, right? Show me you understand what I'm doing.
Okay, so what can I understand about what you're doing? So you're helping local businesses to build some systems, as I can understand. Yeah, I'm right. So you're just trying to build some systems that will help them to expand their local businesses and bring them new bookings, calls, as you said before. As I can understand, yes.
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay,
yes.
So I watched your video yesterday. As I said before, I recorded a voice message, and today you showed me exactly what to do. You showed me the Facebook page. And what I'm just thinking about is that you're trying to to help people, to help local businesses, as I can understand. Because as I said before, I'm not that knowledgeable about local businesses. Actually, I don't know anything about local businesses. How does it work? I don't know anything about the process of local businesses. So I'm just kind of like new person, and I don't know anything. But actually, something that I really can understand from your speech, from your point of view, is that you're really trying to help people, because people just come to you. They just come with some problems. They just come with some broken bones, as I said before. So they need their bones to be repaired. Yes, so they just need some problems to be fixed. People are always stuck somewhere in the darkness, because as for me, as for the thumbnail designer, I also have some problems. And sometimes I also need some people to speak to, some people to maybe to, I don't even know, to speak to, maybe to share some advices with them, and maybe I need some advices from them. So as for the thumbnail designer, I think that it's actually kind of useful, as for me. But if you're talking about those entrepreneurs, for example, business owners, of course they have some problems. And even though if you're talking about dentists, for example, you told me about dentists, that they come to you with some problems. I guess it's really good thing. And today, I guess there are not many people that will actually help to solve some problems, because people are always looking for some very hard solutions, very mysterious solutions. But everything is simple. Everything is not that hard, and I really appreciate that you help people. So I can understand that your mission is to help businesses, is to help business owners, to help to build their path to success. And this is what can I understand by your speech. So I really appreciate it.
Okay, so for local businesses, because when you say entrepreneur, that could be anybody. Like Angus is an entrepreneur.
I don't really know. Maybe yes, maybe I'm not right, but at some point,
think about.
I'm not correct, but
let me help. I want to help you understand what we do. Otherwise, if you don't, the better you understand what we do, the better of a job you're going to do. Okay, so with the local business, there's thousands and thousands that do the exact same thing. So they fix the toilet, they fix the roof, they mow the lawn, they do the there's things that they do that are local, right? A local service business, they do your taxes, they help you when you're in the car accident, right? And with these local service businesses, they're not trying to do this entrepreneur thing, right? They're not trying to reach the world or be famous. They just want to make the phone ring in their city, right? They are a veterinarian in Chicago. So they want people who have cats and dogs in Chicago. And if they see other veterinarians that are successful, then they want to do what that veterinarian does. Now, if that veterinarian sees what we've done with the plumber, they're going to think that's not relevant. Even though you're right, it is the same thing to help a local business be visible and showcase the customers. But the more we showcase plumbers, the more that brings in other plumbers for the most obvious relevancy, right? For all kinds of reasons, that's why. The more you show Michael Stelzner, the more you're going to get Michael Stelzner type people, speakers at Social Media Marketing World, right? That's what you put out there. So that is on the local business side. Those are the people who are paying for everything. The other side, remember we said Uber is a two-sided network. There are people that are paying customers. Like I went from, yesterday, the airport to the hotel, right? So I'm a customer, I pay, but then someone has to provide the service. So the other side is the young adult. And the biggest pain point for these young adults, I imagine like you as a thumbnail designer, is how do I get clients? So what do? Cold outreach, all kinds of random marketing. Basically, they don't realize it, but they're spamming. They don't realize they are spamming, but they're actually spamming, right? Even Angus was guilty of this for a little bit. And so we solve that problem because we have the trust of the number one person in the industry. So the number one plumber, number one remodeling guy, the number one roofer, we have the number one in each of these categories, which means tens of thousands of other people that are just like that want to be like that business. My friend Nilson Silva is a pool guy. You go to any conference of people who build pools and clean pools. He is there. He's a celebrity. They all want to be like him. When he goes to the conference with thousands of people and all they do is pool. You know what I mean by an industry conference, right? All these people that they're in different cities, so they're not direct competitors, but they build custom pools. Oh, you want a pool in your backyard? Oh, it's going to be $50,000. We're going to design it in this shape or that shape. Choose the color, choose the tile, choose the grass you want around it, right? So they all want to be like this guy who came here from nothing, and now he has a $17 million a year business, right? He's a good friend of mine, right? We do his SEO and PPC and website and all of these things to make the phone ring, right? So when you type in pool builder city name, then he's there, right? And so all the other pool builders want to see that. But we need, so that's on the local business side. But the other side, remember, it's a two-sided network, is now we need the young adults who can then implement this. So the young adults who want to work with, they really like water and surfing, they want to work with the pool companies, we solve the problem of there's no need to generate leads. The biggest problem I see on the supply side, which is like freelancers and young adults and digital marketers, people trying to earn the money, not the customers, but the people getting paid. The biggest issue they complain about is, how do I get more customers, right? It's very difficult to get clients, and then I'm competing against Fiverr and Upwork, right? Because look, I could go to Fiverr and Upwork and hire someone like you, right? But
Maybe
certainly
yes,
there's a
but
difference,
I'm not
right?
working at Fiverr and I'm not working at Upwork, unfortunately.
Right. But the point is the differentiation. So what we have is we have the trust of the buyers. We have a whole system. I've interviewed a lot of these people. There's clear proof of this. So when these young adults, we solve their problem of how do I get clients? How do I make money, right? Most young adults are just trying to get to $10,000 a month because that's when they can pay for their family and not have to worry about their bills and credit cards, move out of their parents' basement, all of these things, right? They're not trying to make millions and millions of dollars, right? They want to have a decent life and not have to constantly be on phone calls or DMing people. They're mass mailing people, trying to generate leads. We never need to generate leads. So it's very attractive to young adults. And we have lots of these Marcos, as you see, in different industries. And they never need to sell again because all we do is a webinar with the leader, or we publish our training on YouTube and these other places. And that brings in, as you saw, like I made that post on Facebook 2 days ago. Just one or two of those posts is enough to drive a business, to make $1 million business off of just one post like that, which sounds crazy because I'm not even a celebrity, right? And it's not even my own personal brand. It's all the websites that we control too, right? So if you're a young adult, think about how that can, I view like headline design as really a visual way of doing a hook. Just like in a video, how do you get someone's attention, right? It has to visually communicate why this is important. Not like Photoshop or whatever, but you have to understand the pain that the young adult has. You have to understand the pain that the local business has, and that's what has to be encapsulated in the thumbnail, right? Not your graphics design skill, but your ability to understand what is the real pain that each of these two audiences, we're serving two audiences. What is the pain they face, right?
Right, I understand.
That's what I'm trying to see if you understand, because if you understand that, then I would love to work with you all day long and make as many thumbnails as you want, right? But what I'm looking for is like, how many thumbnails can we generate? I'm looking for if you understand, because if you understand, then we've won, right?
So yeah, what can I understand from what you just say? So basically, I can completely agree with you. The thumbnail is not only about the graphics, of course not. For example, if you hire somebody from Fiverr, if you hire somebody from Upwork, there are a lot of different designers, but they're not working for the result, unfortunately, because they're just working for graphics. But I can understand your feeling because, we can, as I can understand what from your business, from what you said before, we need to show the real problem in our thumbnail, and we need to catch people's attention. For example, if you're talking about plumbers, if you're talking about different professions, if you're talking about dentists, it doesn't actually matter. For example, we can show the problem of one plumber, or we can show the problem of one dentist to the other dentist, to the other audience of dentists, and they will be attracted, and they will just see, they'll just have their problems fixed, and this is what we need to show on the thumbnail. I can understand that completely, because it's not only about the graphics actually, but the thumbnail. I think that's you can hide a lot of different spoilers on the thumbnail, what video is going to be about. Yeah, it's all very, very ordinary thing, but the main point, I guess, that we need to catch two audiences. For example, maybe those can be different audiences, but we need to capture people's attention by showing them problems of people that are similar to them. For example, yeah, dentist, plumber, and something like that. Because if we just show, for example, if we show overall problems that will be mixed, I think it wouldn't give us any results, because we need to really show something that matters for each profession, for each person who does, I don't even know, different jobs. So for example, yeah, I can understand you. If you need anything more, I can just say something more. If you don't, so I can just stop.
Well, I'm trying to see whether you understand would it be helpful if I told you what the most common things were that local businesses say, and if I also told you the most common pain points or aspirations for these young adults?
Yeah, you can say, of course, I'm ready to hear.
Okay.
I appreciate.
Or maybe you can tell me. Would you like me to tell you first, or do you want to reflect back based on what I've told you as the pain points?
About the problems of young adults, or what you're saying?
Yeah, about both sides, right? Because we have two audiences that we bring together: the local businesses that need help and the young adults that are solving the problem, right? Like it's the Uber, but it's Uber for marketing services, right?
So how do you find it?
Because if you don't understand what the problem is, how are you going to make good thumbnails, right? Because there's two audiences: there's supply and demand, and they each have a particular set of problems, right?
Okay. First of all, if you're talking about young adults who help us to solve some problems, so we just need to capture them in our video, in our thumbnail. So for example, we need to give a good title. We need to get some elements done on the thumbnail to catch the attention of people who have some problems, because the main point is to actually make it to the recommendations of people who have some problems. For example, we have young adults, we have some videos, for example, with young adults, and we just need to attract some people that really need to solve their problems, who are searching for the solution. So we just need to search those people. So how do we do this? We just simply get a good title done. So it's not only about the thumbnail, it's also about the title. Because if you don't have a good title,
I'm not looking for you to explain the process of developing thumbnails and titles. I'm looking to see whether you understand the pain point of young adults. What are they saying? What are problems they have? Don't don't explain to me the thumbnail building. I know the thumbnail process, right? You've explained it before. I'm trying to see is, do you understand what we are doing and what the angle is? And I'm willing to tell you what it is if you want, right?
Okay. So what can I understand? What's the process of meeting two audience? For example, young plumber and people who have some problems. So young plumber, I guess, you're working on different platforms, I guess. You said it before, yes? All right. So you're working on different platforms. You have young adults. And you are trying to catch people's problems. You're just trying to catch people to solve their problems by explaining it, by discussing it with young adults, so people can actually find the solution in the words of young adults, as I can understand. So you have two audiences: young adults and people who have some problems. And what can I understand? Young adults, they're just trying to help your people. They're just trying to give them some solutions. And
I think you're wondering. Do you want me to just tell you the answer?
Oh, can you repeat this?
I think you're struggling a little bit. Can I just clarify? I can give you exactly the answer you need here. You would like it. I can tell you the answer.
Yes, you can say.
Okay. So remember, there's supply and demand. There's two sides here. The local businesses, their pain points are, I've been burned by my last three agencies. Another one is, I'm being held hostage by my agency. So you can imagine visually what that might look like, being held hostage. Another one is, visually showing that the bank account is going down, or the numbers are going down, or the Google rankings are tanking, right? The performance is going down. You can imagine visually what that might look like, right? I'm not showing up in the search. I'm invisible. They're scratching their head. They're very frustrated because there's money being poured into the box and this black box, and then from the black box, nothing is coming out. They're just pouring money in and or they're setting their money on fire, right? Mm-hmm. That is the pain point. That's what the local businesses feel, right? It's just like going to the mechanic and getting ripped off. You don't understand cars, and The mechanic pretends to be an expert, and meanwhile, your car doesn't work, okay? But they insist it works, but it doesn't. That's the local business side, right? The business owner who's the local business, that is the problem. When you say problem, I'm telling you what the problem is. They paid somebody else to do this marketing, and they are getting ripped off, as far as they can tell. They don't know. They don't know what is going on. It is very confusing. Okay? That's one side. Okay? The other side is the young adults. The young adults like you are trying to make money on the internet, but they struggle to make money. And because of that, they're very poor, and they live in their parents' basement, and they're out there cold calling and trying to do everything they can to try to make sales. Just like you and Angus are out there messaging lots and lots of people, thinking the more people you message, then maybe, more clients I can get, which is actually called spam logic. So that's the logic that a spammer has. A spammer says, maybe if I just blast my resume to more people, I can be more likely to get jobs, this kind of thing. So the young adult is thinking, how do I get more clients? How do I get to $10,000 a month? They look at other people they believe are successful, and they see on Instagram that those people drive Lamborghinis and wear nice watches and go travel on private jets to exotic places and stay in the nice hotels and live a very fancy lifestyle. But we realize that that is a lie. So visually, the way we can communicate that in a thumbnail is showing this fake thing and then showing reality, showing the journey of actual young adults that have come through our training program and are now successful. And they're making $83,000 a month. They're making $10,000 a month. They're making $72,492 per month. They're, showing the result from zero to this with a bunch of happy clients. You can imagine visually, what does this look like? How do we visually communicate the pain that these young adults face? Well, one thing is the fakery, the pain that comes from the fakery of what social media presents running an agency is like versus what it actually is like, where they're all about acquiring, but everything leaks out, and that's why they have no money, right? You can imagine like someone where one side of the face or the front, it looks very attractive. Like the front of the car is like a beautiful Ferrari, and the back is all rusted out, and there's no engine. You can imagine like this contrast, which they feel, because they have to represent. They feel they have to represent themselves as being very successful and very capable. Otherwise, clients will not give them money. Most of them are in this chicken and egg scenario where they don't have many good clients. Like Angus has a lot of great clients, so he doesn't need to resort to the ridiculous things that these other people do. But they will overrepresent because they have no presence, and they're trying to reach everybody, trying to offer thumbnails for everybody. You know what? Every business is different. So you cannot just give everyone the same thumbnail or use the same or talk generically about problems, right? You need to really get inside to understand what that is, right? So the young adults, they don't have the power. Imagine visually if you had, like, here, I'll just show you one thing. All right. I'm going to show you, actually, you know what? You can share your screen, right?
My
Show you
screen?
one thing that we've not launched yet. And just to show you an example, rather than tell you, let me just show you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a link. Copy, link address, and this is something almost nobody has seen before, okay? Maybe this will go live in a few weeks. Okay, click on the bottom center, click on the share screen, and then click on the link that I put into the chat.
Okay.
Remember, we're trying to reach young adults here, right? But people don't know who I am. I'm just some random guy, right? But they probably know who Jake Paul is, right?
Of course I know him.
Okay, you know who Jake Paul is. Okay, so it's leveraging trust. The whole point is,
I just
imagine
need to
you're a
share
young
my
adult here, nobody.
I just need to share my screen, yes.
Yes, share your screen and click on that link that I gave you.
A second.
And I
How
think
do
you
I
can.
share this?
I think.
How do I share the screen?
Go to the bottom center, and there's a green button that says.
Oh, okay, I can see.
Yeah.
Thanks. I can see. All right, so
Now imagine you're a young adult and you come to this and you know who Jake Paul is. And you want to make money on the internet, but you don't understand what it is. You want to be an influencer or a YouTuber or start an agency or do e-commerce. Did you click share screen?
Yeah, I'm just clicking, but my laptop, it doesn't want to share. 1 second.
Okay.
It's just something about privacy, so I don't have any privacy settings to share my screen or something like that. Yeah.
I can share my screen.
Yeah, I'll show it right now.
Okay.
Okay, so basically here is my screen. You can see it.
Yeah, make it a little bit bigger and click play. Yeah, click play, make it bigger.
Yeah, I'll make it bigger.
Okay.
This is great. This is real great. I'm so excited. So basically, you guys as the audience are gonna have to choose between me, Dennis, and Armani on who has to drink the toilet water. So make your decision below.
You have to click on one of the 3 buttons.
Oh, it's interactive.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. So you choose me. I hate you. I'm gonna scoop the water out of the toilet. But this is just an example of hooking in the audience because now you guys are engaged and you guys want to see what's going on. One big thing with video making or marketing in general is hooking the audience in right away with some sort of fun, different, unique thing. And obviously, I decided to do it with drinking toilet water. So here we go. This is gross. We have these purifying life straws that are supposedly able to filter water. Hopefully this works. I don't know whose idea it was to do this. It tastes like water. That's right. I feel like I'm gonna get sick.
What is the mission of Financial Freedom Movement?
I want to be able to inspire tens of thousands of kids to get active with their careers and their businesses, their entrepreneurship and their content and their personal branding, and give them a roadmap that I never had. And I made so many mistakes going through my career. And I wish there was people or experts that I could just have watched and learned so much from to eliminate all the mistakes that I was going to make along the way. And I want to create a community, a network of people that are all striving towards the same goal, which is freedom and happiness. And that's a byproduct of being financially free.
I'll do one more scene. Keep playing. There's 300.
How much the average makes in 1 year?
What
The average American makes in 1 year.
You want to click on one of the choices?
What?
How much does the average American
Yeah.
make in 1 year?
30,000.
I think it's like 30,000. I don't even know.
The
Yeah.
US Census is roughly around $31,000 a year, which is average to $15 an hour if you're working an 8-hour day. A lot of people are struggling and don't know necessarily how to succeed or how to make more money. Another question, how many people do you think in America are living paycheck to paycheck? 78%, that is correct. I remember growing up, my dad was actually living paycheck to paycheck, and it's not easy. It's very difficult. A lot of people struggle with this, and that's okay. If you're watching this right now and you want to get involved, you want to take your stuff to the next level, let's get honest about where you are at right now and how much money you are making so that we can amplify that and make you more money. When they built this house years ago, they put a secret door inside of this room right here. I don't know if you guys want to see it. It's kind of a secret. I haven't really showed anyone, but it's pretty cool. If you want to see it, say yes. If not, say no. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see it?
Let's say yes.
All right, deal. So I don't know if you guys can tell where the doorway is, but it's pretty sneaky. Oh, whoops. That, clean up aisle 3. Look at this secret doorway into the next room. Come on. I'm taking you guys in. Don't tell anybody. So I just want to know, do you have a job currently? Yes or no?
Most people say no because they're still in school, but you get the idea. All right,
You-
you can stop sharing now.
Yes or
Okay, I can stop. Okay.
so this means that you're already working hard. You have a
One
job.
second. Okay.
All right, what do you think? I'd love to hear both of you. What do you think? That's not AI, it's real.
Actually, it's kind of like crazy. Actually, I didn't expect it. But you know, it's actually true. It's actually true. Many people nowadays, especially if you're talking about, especially about me, I also use that method of cold emailing people. Actually, use that kind of method, and I'm trying to email some people. I'm just trying to reach out for them to, for example, to discuss something together, to discuss our cooperation, but it's not actually working sometimes because we need to really, as you said before, we really need to dive into that business. We really need to dive in what people actually want to see in the thumbnails, because in order to make some money, in order to make some new sales, in order to sell your product to the people, you really need to learn something about it. You really need to dive
Yes.
into that product. You really need to learn it. Really need to have the understanding of what person really needs to have, of what person really needs to see. So I can completely agree with that. And about young adults, so I can really understand. They just want to make more money. They are just trying to push themselves to some limits. They're just trying to see all those Lambos, all those gurus like Andrew Tate, like Mr. Beast or something like that. They're all just seeing those Lamborghinis. They're all just seeing that success, and they're just trying to chase it. They're just trying to reach people, to make some money. But in the end, when they don't have any Lambos, when they don't have any money, when they don't have any helicopters, they are very, very disappointed, and they're just living their business, and they have nothing to do because they've seen some people on the internet that they have Lambos, they have helicopters, they have everything, and they're just trying to do the same exact thing, but nothing is working, nothing is succeeding, and they're just leaving that thing somewhere in the darkness, somewhere in the I don't know even where, and they're just not coming back to this. And this is very, very common problem nowadays, unfortunately, with the development of social medias. It's very, very common nowadays, unfortunately. And I just can see your point, especially if you're talking about Jake Paul's video. I can see his point. So he just trying to catch people attention, and especially, I guess maybe this is also the reason why people are leaving from one salary to another salary. So they're just making very, very little money. They're just living in poverty or something like that. So I can completely understand it, because they're just chasing this fast success, and they just don't have nothing in the end. So this is what I'm talking about. And I can understand young adults right now. So they're just trying to build something. They're just trying to move forward. But unfortunately, yes, they don't have the success because of very, 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 very wrong. I guess maybe I wouldn't even say that it's the way of thinking. It's really actually good
No,
to
it
have
is.
a
Mindset. It's what Angus teaches too.
it's a mindset.
It is.
It's very, very useful. Yeah, it's very, very common, and it's very, very useful for you to have the type of mindset when you want to drive Lambos, when you want to fly on helicopters. It's very, very useful. It can even help you long term. But you need to be also realistic about your path. You need to be realistic about what exactly should you do. You should just plan your system. You should just play every single step you take. You should just plan it. You should just make the right decisions, and this is where you gonna this is something that's gonna make you money. It's not about visualizing something. Yeah, visualizing, it's also a very great thing, to visualize something in your head, but you really need to build the system that will brings you new clients. So it's not just about cold emailing and solving the problem. So yeah, this is what I can understand, and this is why many of the people right now, they're having problems, especially those young adults, as I said before. And so kind of, yes, this is what I'm talking about. And if you're talking about people who as we told in the beginning of our talk, that there are two audiences, young adults and people who have some problems. I can, after this call, I can have a completely understanding of what young adults are, what are those people doing actually. I can understand. I can have the picture in my head. I already have this picture. So yes, I think it's kind of clear for me if you're talking about young adults thing. But about people who have some problems like plumbers, dentists, something like that, I can also understand that we need to attract some people with the same type of profession, with the same type of business, in order to solve some problems. So this is what I got from your speech.
Okay, let me give you something that will help. And so you can see what I believe the main point is. So if you continue down that path in that interactive video, Jake and I would start to ask you, so how much money are you making right now? And what do you want to be? Are you a creative person? Are you an engineer? Are you a salesperson? Are you still in school? And do you want to do e-commerce? So as you start to answer these questions, we make personalized recommendations, right? And when, let's say, okay, I want to do e-commerce, I want to do Shopify. So then Jake and I are sitting down together and we say, oh, you want to do Shopify? Let me introduce you to my buddy Brennan, who does almost $10 million a year. And he's going to walk you through how he does it. So there's over 300 scenes in there. And the idea of recommendations, just like, you know, the medical doctor, is we scan you and we see, oh, it looks like Angus, you have a blockage in your artery or something like that, right? So based on your data, based on what you tell us, we make a recommendation that's specific to you. So it took us a lot of effort. We had to film hundreds of different scenes and we had to pre-map out what that journey looks like, right? Now, if I were just to tell you, hey, Yevhenii, you should do this and you should do that, then you think, who is this guy? He's not credible. Why should I listen to the advice he's trying to tell me? There's a million people on the internet that would like to give me advice on how I can make $1, right? Or $10,000 or do the helicopters and all of this, right? Like you said. But if you know who Jake Paul is, and then you see Jake and I spending lots of time together, and then Jake says, I reached out to my friend Dennis because he is one of the best people in digital marketing. And together we want to help you, right? We created this program for you based on who you are, based on what your strengths are, based on what your goals are. Because you see that I'm associated with Jake Paul, how does that change things?
It's borrowed credibility and trust.
Yeah. So this guy would just appear to be like a random coach. But when people see who his friends are and who he coaches, it's equal. So everyone has a Jake Paul. So in the case of a plumber, I know the #1 plumber in America. All the most famous plumber, if you're a plumber, you know who this guy is, right? So when all the other plumbers see that I'm spending time with this plumber and we're flying around and we're speaking and we're having steak together, I've hundreds of these, right? Then all the other plumbers trust me because of the borrowed credibility, right? And so when they see me and Jake Paul, then see, if we show me and the plumbers and the landscapers to the young adults, to you, they're like, who's that? I don't care. That's not relevant to me. But if you see me and Jake Paul, we were driving his blue Lamborghini around, right? And yes, I think it's absolutely ridiculous and it's stupid, but that's what attracts the attention. Oh, Jake and I are riding in the Lamborghini. Hey guys, we got a message for you. Do you want to make your first $10,000? Let me tell you, it's not Lamborghinis. And then Jake tells a story. You know, when I first got started, Dennis, I was making $12 an hour cutting lawns. That's how I got started. I was editing my own videos, right? Before I had a crew. I was doing it on my iPhone before I had the fancy camera. And he and I are telling stories about what it's really like. So you can imagine visually, it's like a video game where if you go down this one path, it's a dead end, right? If you go to this other path, that's where the pot of gold is. And most of these young adults, they keep crashing, going down the wrong path. But the only correct path is this particular path. And we're helping people go down the correct path where the gold is, because these other ones end in failure or bombs or the villain or some bad, you know, death. Oh, you can imagine like what visually how he might demonstrate that. So Jake and I are showing what the path is. And that the reason why that path works is because we are associating with whoever is known in that category, and which overcomes the problem these young adults have on, I can't get any sales. Well, that's because you don't have any credibility. That's what I wanted. I wanted to see whether you understood that. So the whole point of showing you the Jake Paul thing was not to talk about Lamborghinis, but to show you if we establish credibility with each audience. So there's an audience for the young adults. And I have lots of pictures and videos, not just with Jake Paul, but lots of other people that are famous with young adults, right? This is not me to boast like how many people I know, right? But if we're reaching chiropractors, I have the top chiropractors. So that's relevant to chiropractors. If I show what we're doing with plumbers, the chiropractors, they don't care, right? You don't care, right? You care about these other people. And I can show you all these other people that would be very, very relevant to stereotype, you know, what you might care about. And the people that Angus cares about, I can show a different set of people, right? That's what I'm trying to show you. The relevancy, I think, is what's key. Because you can't just show the same thing to everybody, right?
Yeah, okay.
So when I look at the thumbnail you made, so you made this thumbnail, which, you know, shows, where's this one? There was one you gave me. I see if I can't find the one you know, like this. So we're helping people get Google Knowledge Panels, right? We did a whole podcast on that. And yes, it has the words, and you've cleaned us up to look nicer looking, but does this communicate the pain, or is this relevant? Like, who is this relevant to, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. To be honest, I didn't watch the video because I don't have so much time. But I guess we should actually analyze, because you said before, credibility is the main point. Building a credibility is the main thing. Because, for example, if we talk about plumber, we need to show people somewhere in the thumbnail. Maybe we shouldn't put a plumber on our thumbnail. We shouldn't put any dentist on our thumbnail. It's not that important. But we need to really show, we need to add some elements to our thumbnail that will build this credibility. For example, that will show, as you said before, #1 plumber in the country. So people will just think, okay, it's #1 plumber. So I have to trust this guy. I have to trust the guy who spoke with this plumber.
But only for plumbers. That plumber is only going to be relevant to other plumbers.
No, it's not. I just take an example.
I'm afraid you might not understand the point I'm trying to make about relevancy.
No. I just completely understand. Yeah, because you know my English is also not that good. I'm just trying to speak English. Actually, I'm just trying my best. Yeah, maybe sometimes I cannot understand everything properly, but
fair enough. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. You can say.
No, go. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand the point about relevance.
Okay. So it's not only about the plumbers, it's about any profession. So we just need to show people that we are trustworthy, that people need to trust us. For example, as I said before with Jake Paul's video, yeah, my goal was also not to talk about Lamborghinis and helicopters. It was also to talk about that if, for example, people show somebody popular who they actually know. For example, plumber knows, let's just take plumber as for example. For example, plumber knows another plumber who is very popular around the plumbers, and he can see that this plumber who is very popular among other plumbers, he's actually talking to you, you're communicating together. So this plumber will come to you and he will have a real strong trust because you spoke with this plumber who is actually popular, so he can trust you. For example, it's not only about the plumbers. Let's take, for example, dentists. For example, some dentists have actually problems with running their businesses, and they don't know how to solve this. And as I said before, many people on the internet today, they're trying to sell their courses. For example, how to make some money, how to build the system, how to run the business. There are so many coaches, but they're not popular among people. So for example, if other person, just a random man, he'll come to me and he said, I'm just gonna teach you how to make $10,000 a month. I don't know who is that. I don't know that guy. I don't know who is that man. I just don't know anything about him, but he just trying to sell me his course. So why should I buy his course? I won't buy his course because I don't know him. I don't have any trust.
No credibility. Right? Let me interrupt you.
No credibility.
So no credibility. That's the point you're making. You know, some random guy trying to sell you, but why should you listen to him? The point I'm trying to make is about relevancy. So we have the top dentists, right? The top dentists in America. So if you're a dentist, you're going to know these people that are friends of mine, and we've made a lot of videos. If you're a young adult, you know who the Jake Paul is. If you're a pool builder, you know this guy. If you're a plumber, we already have all of this. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The relevancy is because we have the top, mold remediation guy in that very narrow category, very niche. All the other people in that niche are going to respect that. So the chiropractor one we have, I'm not trying to make that relevant to plumbers or the people who cut grass or cut down trees or fix your heart. What I'm trying to say, I'm doing a really poor job here in explaining relevancy, because I have what's called the lighthouses. I have the top person in each category, the people that follow them in that category who are also landscaping people. They want to be like these people who are friends of mine, and we've created a lot of content together. We've already created a lot of video. I'm trying my very best to communicate. I'm not doing a very good job, right? Because if you see the power we have, you'll be able to leverage it, right?
Can I jump
See what the
in real quick?
advantage is. Yeah, go ahead. Al.
So one of the things that, your job, your role is to be like the therapist / psychologist. So someone comes to you and says, Yevhenii, I've got this thing I need this thumbnail for, and I heard you were good. And like, you're not going to take that at face value. You want to ask some questions. Hey, who wants to watch this? Who is this going to help? And what's going to get their attention? And you just systematically go through some of the things. So if we were talking about the dentist, it would be Dennis, let's say, for example, and number one dentist extraordinaire, whoever, Joe the dentist. So Joe and Dennis are here, and then in the background to show something that represents dentistry, somebody with their mouth wide open, and an emotion, like what's the frustration or what's the pain in that dentist's face? Like, can we capture something like that? And then the color and design exposes another emotion. And so you're going into layers of the psychology so that when someone sees that image, they immediately know, oh, you're talking about what I care about. You're talking about something I need an answer to. And holy crap, that's somebody I know and like and trust. And in that psychology, you're like hitting all the little triggers, and it's irresistible.
Yeah. So when we have a dentist, that is very relevant to other dentists. We're trying to reach only dentists, not everyone on the internet, not anyone with a problem, not any entrepreneur, just dentists. Very, very relevant to dentists, using all the different visual ways to communicate the problem and all that. Same way, young adults that want to do digital marketing, not just any kind of young adults, but the stuff that Jake Paul and I have done together for people that want to be influencers, but then turn it into agencies, we're going to target Jake Paul. And the relevancy is going to be very high because people who know, love, and trust Jake Paul, and they see this Jake Paul interactive thing, and he and I are both collaborating, as you can see on this, that creates a lot of power. Right? We're not trying to reach everyone on the internet, even though Jake Paul does have a huge audience. You see? The relevancy is super high because that's what creates the trust. That's what we call a lighthouse. And the beauty is we already have all these lighthouses. That's what the young adults don't have, right? That's why they struggle. They don't have that credibility.
This platform would provide that higher credibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand. Relevancy is also very important. Actually, I can agree with that. Because as I mentioned before, every single detail should just show something to people. For example, even those face expressions. And we don't need to reach out for everybody. We need to reach out for people who really actually need our help. For example, if we are talking about dentists, we shouldn't reach, for example, people who are repairing something, because we are just trying to I'm just trying to
just people in that industry. It's as simple as possible, right?
Yeah,
you don't have to come up with any new ideas, right?
I would also say something too. You said something earlier. You said you didn't even take the time to watch the video, which totally get it. You're busy. You got other things. Grab I think Syllabi, or there's some other tools out there that will give you transcription of a podcast, an interview, or whatever.
But the words, if you that's a shortcut. People like to do that. but when they do that, they end up missing what's actually going on in the video.
But what
So
was
I
gonna
understand
say-
it
what I was
appears
gonna
to
say
save
is-
time.
Is can you pull in some
Yeah.
of the emotion?
Yeah.
Who would that audience be? Like you can actually build the prompts to actually say who would care about this, what do they want, and then who are the people,
Okay.
so that at least you have some kind of context.
It can help you a little bit, but most people who try to shortcut it, Austin's a friend of mine. I interviewed him about syllabi and all that. My fear is that people use tools as an excuse to not understand. Even though tools are, I love using AI tools. I'm the opening keynote tomorrow morning, talking all about AI here in Lisbon. So if anybody's promoting AI, it's definitely me. But I don't want tools to be a substitute for thinking, even though we're all busy and that kind of thing, right? Because if you don't understand, you can create thumbnails all day long and be really good technically at how to use a particular tool and Adobe Illustrator and Premiere and all that kind of stuff, but that's not it, right? That's the hard part, right?
Of course, yes. I also don't like to use those AI tools, to be honest. I don't use AI at all. Sometimes I use ChatGPT to do some basic jobs, something like that. But I don't use any of AIs because I think it's just not important. As for the creative jobs, such as designers, editors, something like that, you don't need to use AIs. You just need to put your efforts into creating something that will really give you some results. It can be about everything, about thumbnails, about videos, about anything, you know. So you just really need to put your own effort, not the effort of AI, not the effort of
AI
something
can help
that
you. AI should
Help
help you think better, not to be lazy. That's where people win versus lose using AI. Yeah.
but not to substitute your way of thinking. Yeah, not to substitute your way of
AI is a great advisor and a great coworker.
yes.
Doesn't replace you. The people who are lazy, that's how they misuse AI. I love all these tools, but not as a way to replace thinking.
You know, it's actually a little bit scary because AI in a few years, they can actually replace, for example, me, they can replace some editors in a few years, like in 3 years or in 2 years.
Yes, the people who don't understand strategy are being replaced. Yeah, the people who mindlessly do stuff, the AI definitely is replacing those people.
Strategies.
But the people who are the best, it actually is better. I have a friend who's an amazing designer. I think he's doing $15 million a year now. And we've talked about this on how the AI is actually helping him, but it's putting all these other designers out of business.
It's actually cool, but at the same time scary, but at the same time it's cool.
Yeah.
Something is mixed.
Yeah. It's helping digital marketers like us, but it's putting other digital marketers out of business. Because it's the ones who don't understand the strategy that are being put out of business.
Yes, I can agree with that.
So maybe you have some more homework to do. Learn about what we're doing. I mean, certainly, you know, you didn't watch the other video, so you made a thumbnail where it's just the two people in the video and you cleaned up the face. And, you know, the topic was knowledge panels, but certainly you would know based on our discussion here, because we just spent an hour giving you private training, right, on how to think about strategy. Certainly you know that if you actually spend the time to understand what we do, which it's hard, you can't do that for everybody, right? Then you're creating value for us. Then it's not, oh, I have the cheapest thumbnail. Well, there's a lot of people that do the cheap thumbnail, right?
Yes.
There's very few, let's say, thumbnail designers or designers in general that actually understand what we do, or any of their clients. Most designers don't understand. They can make something superficially, visually attractive, right? Superficially, but if you really understand what the client does, that client will pay you a lot of money because you can tie it to value, not just to aesthetics, right? Obviously, aesthetics are important, but that's one component.
Okay, I got you. Basically, you know, if you're talking about those videos, I actually really want to know everything about each client because I have many of those. I just actually want to know something, but I have a lot of different thumbnails to do during the day. For example, I have 5 thumbnails.
But you can't do it. If every client's different, you won't have time to do it. There's only so much time you have, plus going to school and, you know, a family life and sleeping.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So, you know, I'm just not capable of learning everything about each client. So when I have some time, of course, I'm just watching their videos. I'm just learning something about the industry that they're working in. Of course, I do all this stuff. but you really need to have some time to do this thing.
But actually, you
So
don't,
this,
because I had the same amount of time as you do. This is where you have fewer, better clients. Instead
fewer
of a
better,
bunch of
yeah.
guys that are paying you $20 each, have a few clients that you really focus in on. For example, we have one agency, like I told you, my buddy Marco, and he serves just concrete coating companies. He understands that business. He understands it so well, he even started a concrete coating company out there, doing the garage floors and making it shiny and this kind of thing. So now he has 150, and each of these clients pay him whatever it is, $1,600 a month. That's a good amount of money, right? Because every single concrete coating company is the same. Each time he gets one in, it's almost exactly the same. Guess what? We have one agency that just does dentists, right? Guess what? Every time we get a new dentist, we don't have to relearn that business model, right? We have a company that does HVAC, right? Air conditioning, where the air conditioner breaks because it's very hot outside. Well, guess what? When we can run the same campaigns over and over again. We know what an air conditioner costs. We know what creatives work when the temperature's high and the air conditioner is broken and they want someone right now to fix it. We know what the plumbing campaign looks like. Every plumber is almost exactly the same. Every chiropractor, almost exactly the same. So that's how we get scale. Otherwise, I can imagine, who knows how many clients you have? Let's just make up a number, 50, right? Then you really have 50 different businesses. There's no way you can run 50 different businesses. So that's just my advice to you. Focus on a few of them. Fewer, but deeper,
Yeah, I actually yeah, it's a very good idea for me. I think I should really put some attention on it, because actually I'm just trying to focus on some YouTubers who are doing this finance thing. For example, as for my previous thumbnails, for example, like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I was just always trying to do the thumbnails on some different topics. For example, one thumbnail is about traveling, the other one is about finances, the third one is about doing some things by your hands, something like that. But as for me, as for now, I'm just trying to focus on this finance niche. I'm just trying to focus on
and
people
then
who
focus down on that. Forget about our thing here. Just consider this like a learning opportunity, like free coaching,
yeah. I'm just trying to
If
focus
that's the
on
thing that's working for you, just go 10 times down, 10x that one, right?
yeah. But actually, it's if you're talking about fewer clients, fewer but bigger, but it's actually hard. It's much more harder to find good clients. It's actually much
It's
more
actually
harder.
very easy to find good clients when you understand the model that I just showed you for the last hour.
Maybe
We do not have a problem with client acquisition.
maybe after your
We have a
call,
problem with competency on the young adult side, right?
yes. So maybe it will be just more easier for me after this call. Of course, I
Well, if
completely.
you understand the change, this is the pivot that you can make here. Angus helps entrepreneurs make this pivot. Instead of trying to work harder and harder and harder, there's a smarter way to do it, right?
Yeah, because if you're working harder and harder and you're doing like 15 thumbnails a day,
Yeah, that's a young
whereas
man's game. That's a quantity game. You'll never make more money with a quantity game.
yes, of course.
You wake up at 5 in the morning. You can't do that every day.
Yes, yeah. You'll just burn out, and
Yeah.
it's just impossible. I can agree with.
Focus on where the value is. It's always you understand the 80-20 rule, right?
Yes, of course. I'm just 17 years old right now, but I'll be.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yes.
All right. Well, just decide, what do you want to do? Love to work with you, but then again, you're working on so many different things. I feel like it wouldn't serve you or me well the way you're doing stuff, with so many different things.
Okay.
But if you want to focus in on this, I would love to work with you, because I only want good work. I don't want stuff where people are half-assing it, right? Because then it's
Yeah, of course.
to fix it.
If you're talking about our cooperation, I can actually focus. I can actually, I guess after
But
this.
you can't tell that to every client, right? You have lots and lots of random clients.
Yeah, I can, because I'll tell you the thing that I don't speak, for example, for 1 hour with every client. You can understand. So
Yeah,
I'm
of
just
course not.
this messaging, so I don't have that connections.
Yeah.
Example, I spoke with you for 1 hour, and now I have a connection with you. So, for example, I can understand you, and maybe you can understand me. You can understand what I'm speaking about, and I can understand what you are speaking about. But for example, I have, let it be, I just don't know the exact number, I would say let's just say 20 clients or 30 clients.
Sure.
So, for example, I don't have 1 hour call with each of them.
Of course not.
I have some clients, I'll be honest. So, for example, he says me like, hi, I would need a thumbnail. I just say, hey, okay, just send me the pictures. I'll just make a thumbnail. Just send me what you want to see in the thumbnail. What is it about? What should it answer? He sends me all the details. I'll send him the thumbnail. He just likes my message, sends me the money, and this is over. So I don't speak with him. I don't know anything about him. He doesn't know anything about me. So, you know, I just don't have any connection. So I couldn't say that to every client. So I have some clients, for example, I have 2 or 3 clients. We can just jump on some calls with them sometimes, not that often, but sometimes we can jump on some calls, discuss something about our cooperation. Maybe just, it's like, you know, just like 3 or 4 clients, I just have the connections with them. But usually, I'll be honest with you, most of the times, I don't even make the thumbnails right now. For example, I have some people that assist me. They're just making some thumbnails. I have some people that are also working for my company. So I have this taste design thing. My nickname is taste design. So people are working for me. People are doing some thumbnails. So
That's
I don't
great.
even
Delegate it out.
yeah, I just delegate some work, and it's actually crazy. So as for me right now, I don't actually do the job. I don't actually do the thumbnail. Sometimes maybe yes, on some, for example, some main clients that I have, some big channels, some big projects, I can actually work on them. I can actually put some effort in it, and I can actually make it by myself. But if you're talking about those small channels, small clients who doesn't have any big projects, who doesn't have any big ambitions on the market, I just don't even work with them. I just delegate every single thumbnail to my assistant. So it makes it. That's all. So I couldn't say it to every client. I guess we should just try. I guess it will figure out, everything will figure out as we do our first steps, as we do our first thumbnails. For example, I guess everything gains in the process. You should just try, and everything will just come up. So I think we should just start, and then everything will be all right. We'll just have an understanding. You will have the understanding. I'll have the understanding.
Okay.
So everything will be just established. So, so this is what I'm talking about.
Right. But what I'm looking for is for you to understand the strategy. Certainly, with all these other people, you can delegate it out. You know, every client wants to feel like, you know, they're special and whatnot.
Of course.
My understanding is if you don't know what our key advantage is, then it's going to be hard to visually amplify the advantage. Right?
Yes.
I believe in the world of business, it's about having an advantage. And an advantage ties to a niche, it ties to borrowed credibility, ties to, you know, these kinds of things. Otherwise, it looks just like, you know, like all the other people that do SEO or build websites or run ads. There's a million people that do technically what we do, right? But we also have some advantages that cause us to be speakers at big conferences. And some of the biggest names, you know, like Adidas and Starbucks and guys like that want to work with us. They came to us. So if you know what that advantage is, then that translates into thumbnails and whatnot, right? If you don't know what the advantage is, then you'll make something that's aesthetically beautiful, but doesn't have power, if you know what I mean.
Yes, of course.
So if you can do those things, if you're assuring me you will do those things, then I think there's a lot of great things we can do together. And then as you learn, you can train up other people that are just like you, Yevhenii, right? Maybe initially they're like a junior thumbnail designer, and eventually they start to learn the strategy instead of just like, okay, you know, pretty this one picture up, right? And that's how you scale your company. And you build your reputation. And then we showcase your work. And then other people say, wow, look at the work he's done, and look at the ROI. It wasn't just that it was, you know, before and after it's more beautiful. It actually drove more sales. It actually converted better. It actually caused more people to watch the video, right?
Yes, certainly. Yes, I can agree with that. Definitely. Yes.
And we have a lot of friends that are big finance YouTubers.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. It's cool. It's very cool.
It's a small world.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just takes time, and everything I guess just takes time. You should just learn something new. You should just always learn. You should not be focused on something that is not important, but you should just learn. I guess. Yes. It's the key for everything. It's the key for success.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anything else I can do for you?
So maybe not. I'm so thankful for you for giving me 1 hour talk. I'm so thankful because I didn't even expect that it would take that long, to be honest. So I'm just so thankful. Maybe I'll just, if I have some additional questions, I'll just message you on Instagram or do speak. So I'll just message you there and we can just discuss something.
Good. Good. Well, let's make some good thumbnails then.
Okay, so I'm just looking
All
forward
right.
hearing from you. So just like what should I do? Some steps, our next steps on the thumbnails. So what should we do? So I'm just
I'd say understand what the pain points are on both sides. One is for the local business, the other side is for the young adults. Because if you don't understand that, and if you don't understand the advantage that we have, then your thumbnails will be random, right?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying. I made the mistake of trying to jump ahead early and telling you what I think the pain is and ways that you could visually communicate that. But you're the designer, so I want you to feel like it's your idea and it's based on what you think is right. And then we can figure out what those are and then put stuff out there that actually works, that actually leverages our advantage. Because if you don't know who the key relationships are that we have, what do how can you, goes without saying, right? Yeah. Otherwise, you'll just make more pictures of me and other people that, are well known, but you won't know who they are and you won't know how that ties into what we're doing, right? You have to know how the clients make money, right?
Yes.
We know how dentists make money. We know how auto repair places make money, right? Tree companies, they cut down trees. We know how they make money. We know what the average job is. So the ROI is clear, right?
Basically, yeah. Makes sense.
There you go. And it's a lot to learn. You got a lot of things going on. So it really comes down to prioritization. And if you can't do it, say you can't do it, but if you want to do it, you'll make the time, right? There's a lot of things like Angus and I were supposed to, but we're spending time with you, but we decided we would spend time with you.
Okay, I'm so thankful. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
For this meeting. So just hope to hear you soon, to see you soon.
Yeah.
So
awesome. I'll send you the Zoom because when it's over, it sends us the recording so you can review it. And it might be a fun learning thing for other people that you want to build up into more senior designers.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome, Yevhenii. It was good to meet you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. See you. Bye.